If Melee were to have a greatest hits album, I think everyone would expect a similar track list. The album would open up with a smooth classic of Armada, The Boat, followed by the fast-paced, high-energy hit The Kid, The Goat, and The Buster. And then it'd probably slow things down a bit to the methodical thud of Back Air by Hungrybox. Among the other Keystone players who would make this greatest hits album, I don't think many would have considered Zain to be making the track list just yet. And please don't take that the wrong way, that's not meant as a diss to Zain whatsoever. Zain is an incredible player, and in my opinion, he's absolutely worthy of the title of current best Marth in the world, especially when you consider how quickly he rose to that title. But I feel like if Zain were to have a track on this album, it would be rooted in a theme of almosts. His 2019 was full of these almosts. He almost won Low Tier City 7, he almost won the Big House 9, and he had plenty of other runs throughout the year that came just as close, but since that first place finish at Shine 2018, he's just almost tasted the victory of a super major. Now, I certainly don't think that almost winning at multiple super majors and/or major tournaments is that bad of a problem to have. Zain is quite literally one of the best players in the game, and getting a year full of tournament runs just shy of first place isn't anything to sneeze at. The point I was trying to make is that to some, Zain's 2019 of almost is what may have excluded him from Melee's greatest hits album. But that year is over, and apparently so are his almost wins. Through an absurdly stacked tournament, Zain won Genesis 7 from winner's side. So I'd say it's time we start composing a track on the album for him too. So here's a quick refresher on Zain's build-up to Genesis 7 Grand Finals. In Top 64, Zain played Jaken Shaken, S2J, and Shroomed. Following that, Zain's top 8 consisted of Hungrybox, Mango, and Hungrybox again to take the tournament from winner's side. Now, Zain's 6-set, 24-game run to first place was a very different bracket from the 9-set, 37-game run Mango needed to win the Big House 9, but to say that Zain's bracket was easy would be a gross misrepresentation of his ability as a player. Double eliminating HBox is already a monumental feat in itself, and only a handful of people can say they've had the chance to try, let alone succeed at it. In any case, Zain's bracket was by no means easy, and I wanted to highlight some moments from his sets versus Hungrybox and Mango to pick apart some things that gave Zain his first big win since Shine 2018, and the first major tournament win of 2020. Rishi aptly describes Zain as a body affinity player in his decision-making in Smash video. As quoted from the video, these are types of judgments that manifest in robust game plans which are highly refined and informed by knowledge of the meta. Zain, in my opinion, fits this category to a T, and these affinities may be affected many times throughout a set based on a number of factors: the matchup, the opponent, hell, even how they may be feeling on the day. The value in understanding these guiding principles isn't necessarily just knowing what your affinity may be, but recognizing how that affinity responds to a shift in tempo and being receptive to the ebbs and flow of the game. Let's look at Game 2 of Zain's winner's final set versus Mango as an example. Mango won Game 1 with a pretty convincing 2-stock, but it's now Zain's counterpick, and he takes Mango to FD early. We've seen Mango's Falco rack up some insane combos on FD versus Marth before, so while it may not necessarily be a free pick for Zain, he should definitely have an advantage here with access to strong punishes off of predominantly grab, coupled with a lack of platforms to interrupt any combos. Zain finds an opening to push Mango off stage with a nair towards center. Mango gets clipped with the hit just frames after jumping, so he's unable to attempt a crouch cancel. The second hit of nair sends Mango at a high arc to the left and puts him in hit stun for 57 frames, so with this initial stage positioning, he's pretty much guaranteed to be knocked off stage. Mango begins a Firebird above the ledge, but there's almost no mix-up here for him to try. Mango's so far off stage that Zain can react to a sweet spot attempt and hug the ledge, and Mango wouldn't be able to drift right enough for a quite frankly insane straight-up recovery. Even if he was somehow able to make the ledge with an option like that, it's so completely telegraphed that Zain literally doesn't have to do anything. Even a high recovery with a drift back to the ledge may just straight up miss at this distance, so it's most likely more worth it for Mango to brace himself for the impending hit. The only reasonable choice for survival at this point is to recover onto the stage, and it's this offstage positioning which is exactly why Final Destination is such a strong counterpick for Zain. Because there's no platforms to recover to, Mango's options become narrowed down to how he's going to recover to the stage, and with sweet spots essentially out of the question, his options get cut down even further to a high angle or straight through. Mango elects the latter, and Zain covers it with a ledge jump up air linked into a tipper up smash. Now, while Zain might have remixed the edge guard a little bit, this first stock still probably looks like a gimme. But the important thing to keep in mind here is that these stocks are just as important as any other, and they set an important precedent for Zain in the games moving forward. Confidence and ability is arguably just as important as actual execution, and if Zain doesn't feel comfortable in more simplistic sequences like those, he'll be having a much harder time later in the set when the pressure is on. This concept is almost like icing the kicker in football. Sometimes when a kicker needs to make a game-winning field goal, the kick itself may not actually be all that difficult, but the opposing team will take a timeout to try to disrupt the attempt. The intent here is to throw the kicker off of their routine and put them under pressure for a longer amount of time, and while its effectiveness may not be exactly proven, applying mental pressure to a player is still a very real thing. Consistency is key, especially in high-stress scenarios, and Zain is one of the best in Melee at keeping his cool throughout a set. This FD game gives Zain some much-needed breathing room versus a Mango who's well known for taking momentum and running with it, and we see this confidence pay dividends as Zain is able to take the next 3 stocks and close out the game just a minute after taking the first stock. That same confidence also comes into play in Game 5, where Zain finally gets into a comfortable groove and hits some, quite frankly, ridiculous options on Mango. The best one, and probably the highlight of the set, is right here. Both players are at 2 stocks apiece, and Zain hits a dashback grab on Mango's undershot nair. Even though Zain could possibly follow this grab up more easily if it were in center with no platforms to interfere, this is still a great spot to be in. He's almost directly center below the platform, so the subsequent up throw will lead to a practically guaranteed follow-up regardless of what Mango does here. Even hard DI right to try to avoid the platform entirely will still be clipped by an up tilt. Regardless of percent, Marth's up throw leaves the thrower actionable after 27 frames, and with Mango at 56%, he'll be in hit stun for 46 frames. So this essentially boils down to a 19-frame execution window for Zain, where he just has to hit the follow-up before Mango recovers from hit stun. Marth's up tilt hits on frames 6 to 12, which is entirely within this execution window, so this move should definitely hit. Mango doesn't DI the hit, and Zain links the grab into a free up tilt. This up tilt does 10%, meaning he hit with one of the 4 clean hitboxes of this move, which sends Falco almost straight upwards. At 60%, this up tilt puts Mango in hit stun for 56 frames, which again is plenty of time for Zain to link into another move. Zain up airs, and with his back still to Mango, he knocks him off stage with a back air. Zain anticipates a potential ledge cancel phantasm for Mango's return to stage, but Mango shortens to grab ledge. Mango drops low and returns to ledge with low double lasers, but here's where things start to get a little crazy. Zain power shields the first laser to stuff Mango's recovery, grabs him off the rebounded laser, and goes for a forward throw forward smash. Again, we see these ideas of simplicity and consistency shine through in this decision. Even though it was just straight up freakish how Zain made that grab happen, he goes for the easier execution test in a forward smash. He's not making any guesses that could punish him, he's not overextending, he's just hitting the safe follow-up. If he gets it, great, tipper F smash will most certainly kill here, and even a non-tipper should confirm the stock. If he doesn't get it, oh well, he's still got a Falco off stage in a brutal edgeguard position. It's basically a win-win situation for Zain, and aside from the flashy start to this interaction, almost anyone can execute on a similar edgeguard as long as they're able to react to the outcome of the forward smash. In Zain's case, he reacts to the straight-through phantasm from Mango and answers with a double jab, the first to prevent potential SDI onto the stage, and the second to push him back off stage without a jump. Mango immediately up Bs, which kind of puts Zain in a bit of an awkward position. It's not likely that a counter would connect here, and down tilt could potentially miss as well if it's mistimed. So, in trying to remove any uncertainty from the situation, Zain drops down and catches the startup of Mango's recovery with the first hit of Dancing Blade. This is a pretty smart option. For our viewers not as familiar with Melee, Falco's up B may look similar to Fox's, but it doesn't have any hitbox to protect him from stray hits like these. It's one of the key differences that can make Falco so much more gimpable than Fox, since things like Shine Spikes are almost guaranteed. The Dancing Blade is also a good choice here because there's a wall on the inside of Pokemon Stadium which Mango can potentially tech off of. And while we eventually see him land the tech after getting hit by Zain's Dolphin Slash, the first hit of Dancing Blade inflicts very little knockback, which would allow Zain to connect into a finisher for the edgeguard. Maybe more importantly, it resets Mango's recovery, which forces him to restart his up B at a lower position relative to the ledge. In all honesty, at this distance, Mango would have probably just died right after the Dancing Blade hit, and off of the small jump Zain makes after the hit to return to stage, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't intend on hitting Mango with Dolphin Slash on his recovery. But in any case, Zain ends up connecting with the Dolphin Slash, which sends Mango diagonally upwards and gives him another chance at recovery after the tech. Mango's wall tech puts him in line and with his back to the ledge, which basically forces him to try another Firebird recovery since Zain can just hold the ledge for a Phantasm attempt. After seeing the second up B out of Mango, Zain knows he's a sitting duck and he's able to close out the stock with a down air. Like most top players, everything Zain is doing here feels like it has multiple layers, and honestly, I think this sequence is a great summary of how well he was playing on the weekend. Pretty much every option is covered in this sequence. The power shield grab to beat Mango's double laser, the double jab to beat Mango's jump Phantasm, even the dancing blade to nick Mango's Firebird while slowing Zain's fall. Everything just makes sense and feels like it hits the flowchart perfectly. And the good thing about setting up flowcharts like these is that you typically don't limit yourself to a single option. Even if one choice fails or doesn't go exactly as planned, Zain has other tools available to cover his bases or remix the sequence. It's almost never binary, and there's almost never an opening for his opponent to find the recovery once Zain gets in his groove. And again, momentum is super important in Melee, not just for the mental aspects of the game like operating under pressure, but for real physical things like stage counterpicks. This is especially important versus Hungrybox, where the Dreamland counterpick is so prevalent. With Hbox, it's almost gotten to a point where if you don't want to go Game 5 against him, you need to find a way to win a game on Dreamland. And trust me, I don't think any player in Melee's history would say they'd like to go to Game 5 in a tournament versus anyone if they can avoid it, let alone Hungrybox. We see some of the immense pressure of the Dreamland game come to a head in Zain's winner semi-set versus Hbox, which went down to last stock, absolute last hit. Now, exactly how Zain found this win is really interesting to me because he did a ton of really incredible things in that last stock of Game 2, especially in a tense situation where nerves are bound to kick in. Zain found the kill off of a tipper up smash of all moves at a whopping 190%. And in case anyone somehow had doubts about that up smash killing, first off, don't, but second, just know that even with a perfect crouch cancel and ASDI down, Hbox would still die off the top starting at 146%, and if he didn't do any of that, he'd die as early as 74%. High percent matches can become difficult for both players, since they need to search for stray hits without much to link into in order to find the kill. In Zain's case, you sometimes hear about Marthritis, which is meant to describe Marth's difficulty in securing kills as their opponent's percents get higher, and we see that here to great effect. I mean, think about it, if his opponent is at high percent, he'll just have to straight up win more neutral interactions in order to find those strong hits to confirm the stock. In fact, a lot of Zain's options become narrowed down as his opponent gets higher in percent, and with his opponent being Hungrybox, one whiff move can spell death for Zain. Some common high percent kill confirms you may see from a Marth player are up tilt and forward smash. Versus Puff on Dreamland, up tilt is a guaranteed kill at 98%, which means we can see the typical first hit side B to up tilt happening around 94%. Tipper F smash kills as early as 69%, so the usual setup from a grab into a pivot means he can look for the grab and reasonably expect the tipper to net him a stock at 64 to 65%. It should come as no surprise to say that the tipper is also very important here, since it has an additional 20 base knockback versus a non-tipper forward smash. From the same positioning with no DI, the non-tipped F smash won't be a guaranteed kill on Puff until 129%. And something like a 60% difference may not matter all that much to you if we're talking about stray hits to find kills. But don't get me wrong, this is a huge difference in the context of this set, since we've seen Hungrybox get insane mileage off a single hit in the Marth matchup, especially if it pushes Zain off stage where that hit can often result in a lost stock. And big disclaimer for all of those aforementioned kill percents, in all of those situations it was assumed that the move hit from center stage with no DI. Now I know that's not entirely realistic since players will naturally opt for survival DI in high percent scenarios, but the important takeaway here is that Zain has a lot to consider when it comes to kill options, and those considerations become way more important as his opponent rises in percent and those kills become harder to confirm. This was literally anyone's game, but the fact that Zain was able to clutch it out meant so much for the remainder of the set. Sure, he still lost Game 3 on the Dreamland runback, but to get the counterpick advantage in your favor versus a player like Hbox, that's huge. Zain wasn't able to repeat the same Game 2 Dreamland win in Grand Finals, but being able to finish the tournament without going into a second set is still really important for the same reasons I mentioned earlier. Again, winning against Hbox is no small feat, and with games like those lasting 4, 5, even 6 minutes, these sets are enormous tests of mental endurance. Zain is great at keeping his composure throughout, and I think it's that composure and ability to perform in high-stress situations which separates him from almost every other Marth out there. Zain is one of the best definitions of a hard worker. I mean, hell, the guy went from winning an Arcadian to a major in a matter of years, which when I say is a damn near impossible feat in Melee, trust me, it's a damn near impossible feat in Melee. The dude is a freak of nature in the best way possible, and while he may not be the best player in the world right now, he most certainly has what it takes to get there. He has the skill, the patience, and apparently a 60-40 matchup against every Fox player worldwide. If Zain keeps trending the way that he is, and he's able to ride this momentum to the top of a few more tournaments, it might be time to start talking about Zain not just on Melee's Greatest Hits album, but maybe on his own damn record deal. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and hopefully by now you've seen at least some of the epicness that was Genesis 7. With all the craziness going on in the world right now, it certainly isn't a bad time to be catching up on some good tournament sets, so I definitely recommend rewatching some of Zain's sets from Genesis if you want to relive the hype. This show and channel are supported by Patreon. I have some lovely people over there who have supported the channel for months on end, which of course motivates me to work even harder for you guys. So if you want to help out, you'll get some sweet perks like my thumbnails and video scripts, bonus content like sneak peeks and behind the scenes, and your name in the credits. As for me and the channel, without a ton of tournaments going on, I should be able to focus some more on long-form content, so expect to see some new episodes of Frame Data, Origins, and video essays like these in the future. Also have another best of montage that should be dropping soon for a very special Fox player, and we'll have some more guests join us on the mic for live streams and edited videos in the coming weeks. If you want to catch that or anything else, be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter, and if you're a fan already, I just want to say thanks for being awesome. Anyways, I'm looking forward to getting a bunch of new content out to you guys, and you should be excited too, because we have some really cool stuff on the way. Until then, I'm Turndownforwalt. Thanks again for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.